I'm going to ask you one question without going too far down a rabbit hole. But I don't know why. This is probably crazy. It really is. But what do you think happens if the Michael Thomas situation does not get resolved totally amicably to all parties here in the next week or so? Do you think there's a scintilla of a chance that the Saints would consider trading him for the right offer?
I don't think anything the Saints ever do is accidental. And I think the way they handled Michael Thomas a week and a half ago was the result of a broader strategic effort by Sean Payton to solve this problem once and for all. And the Jeff Duncan article in The Athletic, and look, reporters get antsy when I speak in these terms, and sometimes I care and sometimes I don't. I don't think it was the result of Jeff Duncan digging through dumpsters and sneaking around corners and piecing together threads. I think everything in the Jeff Duncan article was given to him with the idea that he's going to put it out there, that the team wanted it out there, that the team wants everyone to know the problems they've been having with Michael Thomas. So we all are at least comfortable with the possibility that they may be taking drastic action with Michael Thomas if he doesn't shape up right now. And from Peyton's perspective, this is all about bringing this to a head. He's either going to get along or he's going to be gone. And because I don't think it gets to this point. It never gets to that point with anyone with the Saints. We never hear about these kinds of issues. So I agree with you completely. I think depending upon how Michael Thomas has handled the last week and a half, the Saints could, again, depending upon how he acts, how he conducts himself, how he reacts, they could say, we're done. I don't know who wants Michael Thomas. I don't know who you trade him to at this point, who's going to take on that salary. And the Saints would have a cap hit they'd have to take next year that they would have to deal with. But I think that you're right, that's a possibility. And then that opens the door for Antonio Brown in New Orleans.
I think one of the issues right now that you look at, and one of the reasons why, and I forget, I looked at this the other day when I first thought of this, the cost for an acquiring team, other than the draft choice compensation, I've got to think that the Saints are gonna want at least a 1 for him. The draft choice compensation is going to be more of an issue than the compensation itself, because the Saints paid a huge number, in a signing bonus first, and his salaries are not really that prohibitive. When you think about the guy who has the single season record for most catches and man among boys, all that stuff. But I do think at the end of the day, we're going to see a period of reckoning in the next, let's say, week. And if you want an absolutely great receiver, but a guy who at times can be difficult to deal with, I think, though, I'll tell you this, Mike, I think those phone calls are at least going to be made to Mickey Loomis of the Saints over the next few days.
$20 million in cap acceleration that the Saints would take next year if they trade Michael Thomas now. And, the Steelers ate $20 million when they moved on from Antonio Brown. Now, with $175 million in cap space, that would be a challenge. But I think that it wasn't an accident. I think it's curious that Michael Thomas now has a hamstring injury on top of an ankle injury when they haven't had any games and he hasn't been practicing. And, yeah, maybe there's something there. And as I said, none of this stuff came out accidentally. None of it happened spontaneously. This is all the result of some broader strategic effort by Sean Payton to deal with this issue. And the thing about Payton, then we have to take a break, he's a firm believer in never compounding a mistake by doubling down. If you recognize that something's not working, you deal with it instead of saying, well, we paid him all this money. Well, we may look stupid. We may look bad. Well, we're going to have a harder time reaching our objectives and our goals if we have someone on the team that isn't on board with everything that we're doing. And if we just misread him before we entrusted him with that money, so be it. We learn from it and we move on.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.